Welcome to W.I.N with Richardson and Richardson. What's important now? Success in business most often comes down to hard work, not by silver bullets and quick fixes. It's knowing where to focus that hard work that's key to winning. Join sales prospecting expert and 3-time seven-figure business founder Carrie Richardson and managing partner of R&R Consulting and former owner of Doberman Technologies Ian Richardson for radical honesty regarding strategic planning, accountability, and execution that will get you the systematic results you're working toward. Let's get into today's episode. Thought leader and your host, Ian Richardson.
Hello and welcome to W.I.N. I'm your host, Ian Richardson from Richardson Richardson Consulting, and today I'm joined by my good friend Alex Stratilatov from Lansing Legal Group. Alex, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Ian. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for being here. We appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk with the viewership of W.I.N. Alex is a graduate of the Michigan State University College of Law, as well as the University of Wisconsin Whitewater. He's bilingual in both English and Russian and a partner at Lansing Legal Group PLLC, where he practices in the focuses of business and contract law, mediation, and real estate. And he also focuses on new business development. When he's not busy helping entrepreneurs navigate their legal needs, he spends time with his wife and their 2 dogs. He's a practicing musician and enjoys books around sci-fi and fantasy. And you're finishing up the first book in a series, Alex. What are you focused on right now?
Yeah, I'm currently reading through The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. Really good.
That's an awesome book about leadership and kind of having to rise to the challenge of leadership. I'm a huge fan of that series. And when we're thinking about challenges, W.I.N here always follows a format where we talk about business challenges, achievements, and opportunities. And that's the perfect segue into the first segment on the show. Alex, you and the Lansing Legal Group team, you guys are a new business. And you're jumping into not only a crowded and saturated market, but it's legal services. It's difficult to necessarily differentiate. How are you guys tackling that right now?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, Ian. So, really, in our analysis of the market, I think we came to the conclusion that what's really missing here in Lansing is more than just, Googling an attorney and calling them up. I think what we think sets us apart is the relationship building. Our practice is centered first and foremost on ethics and integrity and doing what our client needs. If there's a situation that we can get it done for them the right way, that's what we're going to do, even if it means a lower profit margin or if it extra hours or whatever. That's our goal. And so that's been really a kind of the way we've approached that challenges by setting ourselves apart as being the attorneys that are there for you first, and we'll get it done.
Yeah, that focus on that client experience is such a key differentiation tactic, and that's true in I've seen this industry after industry after industry. My background's in technology, and it's technology services. Like, hey, I call you guys when my printer breaks,
right?
And it's like, why would I pay you X, and when someone else will fix it for Y? And it's around that experience. It's around figuring out what that person needs. And so I have to imagine if you were talking with 5 different entrepreneurs or 10 different entrepreneurs, each set of needs are going to be unique. How do you guys go about capturing that? What do you guys do to focus on making sure you understand the needs well?
Right. Yeah. So I never like to just, when I get a call, hey, I need a lease drafted. It's never as simple as drafting that document. I like to delve into the context. What are goals are you trying to accomplish by getting that space, right, for your business? Why are you leasing it? Maybe there's a consideration that you haven't thought of that would be important for you to have in that document based on what you're trying to accomplish, the history of your company, your relationship with whoever you're dealing with. So I think there's a lot more than just the provision of legal services involved if you really want to provide that quality experience.
Yeah, that discovering of what are you really after, talking about goals.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's actually one of the first questions I ask after, I have a consultation with somebody. At the end, I always ask, well, what is your goal with what you're coming to me for? And 9 times out of 10, it's something other than what they had originally called about.
Oh, I love that. I love the focus on discovery as a strategic differentiation. There's a good friend of mine, Walter Crosby, is a sales coach, and Walter preaches a methodology of sales which is called baseline selling, but it's around baseball. You got to go around the bases. When you get on first, you can't just run to third. And so often you hear stories about people who are always trying to do that. They're trying to run across the field to third instead of saying like, "Hey, let's tell me more. Like, who are you? What are you trying to achieve? What are your goals?" Because really, if you're doing that consultative sell, and everything's a sale, but it doesn't have to be a dirty word. If you're doing that consultative approach to figure things out, it's, hey, you know what you're looking for, maybe I don't provide, but
Mm-hmm.
then I can at least point you in the right direction. Or maybe it's that's not actually this, that's this. Is that really what you're after? No, it's not. And even if that results in someone not choosing your services because you took the time and sent them the way that they need to go, that person's opinion of you is like up here. And it's
100%.
you got to go talk to him because he's going to shoot straight. He ain't going to upsell you.
Exactly. I mean, I've had referrals from people that have never been my clients, but have called for a consultation because I sent them to the person that was able to help them. And I think that's valuable. So I think that's kind of what we mean when we say, we put our clients first, truly. Even, if we can't help you, we'll find somebody who can. And, we really try to take advantage of the local resources for networking and things like that in order to find those professionals that we can trust and send people to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so we were talking. You guys just opened February of this year,
That's right.
and you've been like banging through. You've been growing revenue. You've doubled clients. You're elevatoring up, which is an amazing place to be with a new business. Richardson and Richardson, where Carrie and I are at, it's a new endeavor. It
Yeah.
started in 2021, but really this whole year it's been building up the infrastructure and doing the same things you're at. So I love to see that success because it inspires me and makes me feel good about the direction that I'm going. But one of the things that you mentioned to me that really resonated out is that even in startup phase, less than a year old, you guys have a focus on giving back. And that's something I want to let you take the stage on and talk about.
Yeah.
Talk about what this give back work is that you and your team are doing.
Absolutely. Well, I think a lot of attorneys get a bad rap for being there for the money, and I feel like that is sometimes justified. But a lot of us come into this profession because we want to help people, and the law is so convoluted, and there's so many considerations that people just don't know about because of the nature of the business that. We can solve those problems, right? And that's something that we wanted to really highlight. And so, while we might be in startup mode, our expertise is there already. I don't think we need necessarily to have a certain revenue margin for us to be able to put that out there. And it's really come out in the way we help our clients. For example, I'm in the middle of a lawsuit with a client, but they've unfortunately suffered certain various setbacks in their lives, and another one came up where they could use some legal help, and we've had a good working relationship. They've obviously been paying me for the litigation, but that's a perfect opportunity for me to say, hey, let me take care of this additional problem for you, free of charge, because I know you're going through a tough spot in your life. You need the help, and we can be there for you. To me, that's how I sleep at night. I love there for my clients and the folks that call up. If it's something that can take me 15 minutes to do, and it can have like a enormous impact on this person's life, I don't see why I wouldn't.
Yeah, that pay it forward, lead with giving, is such a it's a mindset, isn't it? Right? Like it's
Oh
it's
yeah,
one of those things where it's okay, well, like, hey, how can I help? Well, like this or that or this. Well, I'm there. Let's do it.
yeah, absolutely.
It's that the book that resonates with me is The Go-Giver, and I can't remember who it's by, but if you Google that, audience, you'll always be able to see that come on up, by Bob Berg, The
Mm.
Go-Giver, which is one of those business books that's really crafted around a story, right? And using story as the medium on it. But just if you approach everything with, hey, how can I help this person? It always sorts out.
Absolutely.
Everything always sorts out in the end.
Absolutely. And I found, the more people you help, the more they're willing to help others, including yourself, right? And if you help somebody out, they'll think of you when they know that they can, and they'll send business your way. And that's kind of how we've done things. Most of our business comes from referrals, right? We advertise a little bit, but really it's on our goodwill essentially in the community. And I'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah, that word of mouth where someone says, hey, you got to call him, have that seat at the table, have that conversation, which then allows you to go back to that focus on differentiation and talk through those goals instead of just, oh, you want a lease? Yeah, sure, it'll be this.
Exactly.
So I love that. Looking at the opportunity that you guys are popping in, and we just talked about lease. You've got a couple of a couple of legal segments, business law and real estate, that you're pretty passionate about, and you've identified a potential market that you'd like to dive in and target. And so I'd love to talk about two different things. Talk to us about why you're choosing the segment that you want to choose, and I'll let you introduce this to it. But then also I want to follow up with how you went through the concept of saying, hey, I see a need in this segment. This is a segment that I think we can differentiate ourselves in. We could target it, because so often the listeners of WIN and the fellow entrepreneurs are saying, like, look, I've got to figure out a new segment. I've got to go after market share, capture, whatever. And it's tough to figure out what to do next to put on
100%.
that future site. So what move are you about to make?
Yeah, so lately I have been really working my way into the space of helping people deal with their HOA or set up an HOA for their neighborhood and things like that. And really, it's been kind of a discovery that kind of fell into my lap, that there was an opportunity here. I started to get several calls a week about, hey, can the board of directors do this? Or I think, the money's not being spent effectively. Or my neighborhood doesn't have a homeowner association, but we'd really love to put in a community pool. How do we go about that? And I think one thing that's really great about kind of that market space is, in law school, my corporate law professor always used to say there are no legal problems, there are only people problems. And I think an HOA situation really exemplifies that. And so for me, I get to go in there. There's a little bit of business going on because HOA is a corporation. You're dealing with real estate too. So it really melds my passions. And then plus, I get to help people resolve those people problems. And at the end of the day, if we can solve that, the legal stuff falls into place. And so just getting all of these phone calls and seeing that there's this stuff going on in the world and nobody's really sure how to do it really made me think about my initial draw into law, right? I want to help people, and this is a daily interaction with the legal system.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. So it kind of fits.
So how did you identify, like, I mean, you touched on it. You had an opportunity come in. And then as you started pursuing that opportunity, it started to grow. And we were talking earlier around, like, hey, there's a crowded, saturated market. I got to imagine that there's options around there in there. But how do you guys, when you're looking at all the different avenues that you could be pursuing, and even if you're just looking at current caseload and things like that, how are you judging, hey, this is strategically, this is the direction we want to pursue? I think we should create a focus. However you might dive into there. How are you identifying those segments and choosing to pursue them?
Sure. Well, I think that comes out to a couple of different factors. I mean, I don't think we can really discount the fact that it's a profitable area for us, right? That's a factor in it. But really, more so than that, it's looking at the areas where, despite kind of the legal presence in Lansing, we have a lot of firms around here that focus on bigger fish, quote unquote, and not enough of this more of your kind of local issues and that's kind of how we settled on this front. We have a lot of people around here that live in great communities that have HOAs and things like that, but not enough of the legal market services those needs because they're really case by case, or you have to get in when the subdivision is being put up or this and that. But dealing with the individual issues that arise now, that's kind of a small service for a big firm, or it could be too much work for a little firm. And I've been lucky enough to kind of put myself in the position to learn about that and fill that niche in a way that I don't think is as readily available with other legal service providers in the area.
So almost a competitive space analysis where, hey, like this particular segment of real estate and business law isn't being fulfilled. I love that opportunity identification, that opportunity dive in focus. And so with that sort of an opportunity, when you guys recognize that and you say, all right, this is the focus we're going to dive in on, we're going to go after that. The one thing that resonated up with me is you said, hey, there's a need that's not being served. And that is such a key strategic, like it's that pattern and trend analysis around, hey, I'm seeing this. There's a lot of folks here who practice real estate law. There's a lot of folks here who practice business law, but this area is being underserved. And that's kind of being a strategy guy. It gives me the goosebumps running up the arm when I hear someone saying like, oh yeah, we looked at this and we saw this, and then we saw an underserved area. We saw this pattern or trend coming through. That's super cool. Are you and your team, you're doing some routine cadence around like coming together and huddling up and saying, all right, like what's next?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the big things for me when I was thinking about, leaving law firm life and starting my own, was to make sure that we had those things in place. I think all too often we get caught up in the day-to-day and we don't think about how that each action impacts our goal. And so I spent a couple of months before opening the doors really kind of putting that plan together, setting up a schedule of, hey, every week we'll have a case review, every 2 months we'll have a marketing review or whatever, so that we don't forget about these things. We don't let it fall to the back burner because it's easy to let that happen. But, it's without having an analysis period of where are we, you can't really see where you're going to go. It's just, I mean, you should always keep moving forward, and you can take one step at a time, but it's a lot easier when you have a map.
I love that. Have the roadmap to success. That's an excellent place to kind of wind down on there. Alex, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know that you and your team are busy and joining here and sharing some of your knowledge and sharing your story with the guests on WIN. If you're interested in getting a hold of Alex and his team, you can go to lansinglegalgroup.com. He's active on LinkedIn. Go ahead and connect with him there. Follow his company on there. Alex, thanks so much for joining us here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Ian. Love the show. Always great insights here, so pleasure to be a part of it.
It's my privilege to have you, my friend. And if you're interested in being on WIN or checking out our blogs, looking at previous episodes, looking at any of our webinars, you can find Richardson Richardson online at r&r.consulting. I'm Ian Richardson. Connect with me on LinkedIn if you like. Reach out to me if you'd like to be a guest on WIN. You can go to r&r.consulting/connect and self-book yourself in, just like Alex did. And until next time, take it easy.
You've been listening to WIN with Richardson Richardson. What's important now? We're so glad you've joined us and know you're one step closer to winning big in your business too. We'd love to connect with you outside of the show. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to connect@rnr.consulting. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast so you'll easily know when new episodes are available. Until next time, you can win, and we're here to help.